Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a very special session on Sangeet Foundation today, Unfiltered with Rohit Bose Roy, the award winning actor. And we'll get to know him a little better today. And we also will be discussing mental health. I am Jayanta Ray of Sangeet Foundation. We at Sangeet Foundation believe in happiness through music and the arts. Happiness is a state of mind. Dig a bit deeper, it's about mental health. So, we want to create awareness and address mental health using music and the arts as a complementary therapy. So, thank you all for joining us today and being with us. So, do reach out to us should you feel the need to do so. We are always there for you. Also, you can volunteer with us, and we would be delighted to have you with us. Today's host is the lovely Indrani Bhattacharya. Indrani is a master's in English from Presidency University of Kolkata. She is also a senior educator in the UK. And Indrani is also the head of programs for Sangeet Foundation. So do enjoy this lovely session. And as I hand over to Indrani, thank you.
Good afternoon, good evening to wherever you are in the world. I am Indrani Bhattacharya, and of course, on behalf of Sangeet Foundation, I am here again with an extraordinary person and a brilliant actor. Please allow me to welcome the ever dashing, the ever handsome, and a superb talent that India has, Rohit Bose Roy.
Thank you, Indrani. That's really sweet of you. I don't know what the super talent, but well, yeah, I try and do as best as I can.
We all know it. You don't need to be humble, Rohit. We all know it. All know it. I mean, I honestly, I have I have a nice introduction, but I must tell you, all the girlfriends over here, they are jealous, and I feel absolutely elated, all on top of the world.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I was talking to one of them, and they said, like, how do you get to do it? I said, well, sometimes stars shine bright, don't they? So just a quick intro to Rohit. Rohit is, of course, he's an Indian television and film actor. He is known for his role in Hindi television serials such as Desh Mein Nikla Hoga Chand and Swabhiman. Besides working in television series, Rohit has also acted in notable Bollywood films such as Kabil, Ek Khiladi Ek Hasina, Apartment and Plan, among others. He starred in the movie Shootout at Lokhandwala, in which he portrayed the character Pattu, one of the gang members. And also he has directed a short film called Rice Plate. Wow. He is, of course, a Bengali, which we are so proud of. And he had his formative years in Ahmedabad, Gujarat. He did his schooling from St. Xavier's School, Ahmedabad. He was also an alumnus of St. Xavier's College, Ahmedabad. He is, of course, the youngest son of Brotindranath and Dolly Bose Roy. And his elder brother, whom we all know and admire as well, is, of course, the very famous Rohit Roy. He's married to another very well-known and beautiful actress, Manasi Joshi Roy, and has a beautiful daughter, Kiara, who we are also going to talk about. Welcome, Rohit. It's such a privilege and an honor to have you with us.
Thank you so much. The pleasure is all mine.
Brilliant. I'm not sure, but Rohit, I didn't think you actually came from a very filmy background. Is that correct? Am I?
No, in fact, on the contrary, we were absolutely non-filmy. My dad was a businessman. My mother was a teacher in a local school. And we had no connections with the film industry whatsoever, save knowing Mr. Subhash Ghai, who was my dad's very good friend at that time, many years back. It was Ronit who put the bug of films and acting into the family. Every time they ask me, how did you think of becoming an actor? And I always say I'm an accidental actor because I never wanted to be an actor. I used to actually scoff at Ronit, and I used to come and tell my mother when I was much younger, when I was about 14, 15, when he was launched. I used to come home and say, Mama, just look at your elder son. He's like a wastrel. He's like a gunda. What is he doing? Jumping around trees and singing songs and dunking into pools with this girl. This is not good. This is not the family we are from. And little did I know that in just 2 years' time, I would come to Mumbai and become an actor myself. So that's why I call myself an accidental actor.
You made a mark for yourself with your studies, in the sense that you were a really, really good student,
I
and
was.
then joining the industry obviously couldn't have been an easy choice. Or was it an easy choice for you, giving up? Because also, as far as I can recollect, you had got into one of the B colleges in
In America,
USA.
in the US, yeah.
So you left all of that to join a really tough industry.
So let me be very, very honest. I didn't have a choice at that time. What happened was, is once I got into the University of Michigan Ann Arbor, which is it's still today till date is one of the best business schools in the world. I was refused a visa. I had my I-20s. I had my in fact, I had my quarter semester fees paid. My tickets were bought, but for some reason they didn't give me the visa. And unfortunately, there was no choice. So the other choice was to actually sit for the Indian MBA exams, which I did. And I got into a couple of colleges here as well. But as destiny, which is why I'm a firm believer in fate and destiny, as destiny would have it, I was sitting at Kunal Kapoor's office. Kunal Kapoor, who's the son of Shashi Kapoor, the late Shashi Kapoor. And he said, "What are you going to do?" I said, "I'm, studying my MBA." So he said, "Another 2 years of pushing pen, paper, and then what? Again, some more pushing pens and signing checks in an AC office. That's not what life should be." So I said, "What do you think life should be?" So he said, "Come join me." And I had no clue whether he was serious, he was joking. And, obviously there was some sort of thing in my mind that, I had seen advertising a little bit upfront with my brother, going with him to various offices, seeing how the process works, because he used to edit as well. So I think somewhere the glamour bug had kind of bit me and I didn't know about it. And when he offered me the job, I had zero idea of what an assistant to an ad filmmaker does. And which is why, again, come back to destiny. And I joined him, and that's it. And then I never looked back. I joined him in the first month of working with him. People started calling me for, to work as a model for their products. I modeled for one of the, in fact, at that time in the early 90s, I modeled for every possible suitings, shirtings, shoes, bikes, all of that at the very beginning of my career and without even trying. So I said, maybe God has a plan for me, which is better than my own plan. And I became an actor in the very first year of being here in Mumbai. So I count my blessings and I always say it's destiny. I have not really taken any choices as such. Of course, I know a lot of people who make plans, decisions, choices, but in my life, it's been completely the other way around. This destiny has decided for me what I should be doing.
That's brilliant. I mean, usually you would hear of the struggle and the stories, because obviously the film industry is not the easiest of industries to work in.
Not
So Swabhiman happened. That was the first television serial that you started. You became like a household name. You became someone that everybody wanted to have as part of the house as well, maybe. So how did that start? How was your television? How did you start with the television career?
Very interesting story behind that. I had actually signed a film before I signed Swabhiman, and I shot for the film. I was going to be introduced in a very big way. It was being directed by Anand Balani, who had directed a film with Salman and introduced Ravina in a film called Patthar Ke Phool. And it had superb music and it was a super hit film. And I was doing his next film, so I was going to be launched as the next star newcomer. Unfortunately, that film got made but never got released. And in, I think, 94, I went to America with my girlfriend, who's now my wife. And my uncle lives there. And I said, I don't want to go back. Nothing's happening. I even did that film and that thing also didn't work. I'll settle down here now that I got a visa. I'll do something here, maybe open a store or open, every Indian who goes there either owns a motel or opens a convenience store. He said, listen, I can open a wine store for you. Anytime you decide, I'll open a very fancy wine store for you. But, and this is what my uncle, my Masa said, who's like my dad. He said, listen, there's 0.0001% of the Indian population which has the good fortune of entering that industry. You have a toehold already. Even though a film's not released, you have a toehold. You know people know you, Why don't you go back, give it a shot, and if it doesn't happen, you already have a visa. Come back and I'll do that. And it kind of made sense. And I spoke to my girlfriend, and she was ready to even kind of, marry me, even though I would have been a wine shop owner. And we decided to come back in '94. And the moment I came back, we came back, I think, approximately in June or in July. And in September, October, I had signed Swabhiman, which again, there's a very interesting story of how I signed Swabhiman. I got rejected twice before I actually signed, because the writer Shobha De, who's a very, very dear friend of mine, and I call her my professional mother, because she's the one who gave birth to me with Swabhiman and wrote my character of Rishabh Malhotra. She rejected me because she thought I looked very young and I didn't have the brevity that Rishabh Malhotra required, the angst. And I was obviously a very young, bratty kind of character. And, she said, no, this guy's too young. He won't be able to carry it off. And Mahesh Bhatt actually saw one of my NG takes. He was going through some takes. He said, who's this guy? I said, no, sir, he's been rejected by ma'am. He said, no, call him back for another test. I went back, very interestingly, for another test, and they made me do a soliloquy over my father's dead body in the show. And I just lost my father a few years back, and something just kind of worked in that audition. And he said, listen, he actually drove up to Shobha De's house, which is in town. And he told her that, listen, you've cast everybody else. I want to put my money on this boy. He's going to play Rishabh Malhotra. And that's how Swabhiman happened to me. Again, destiny, fate. It was all written. I have no contribution to it. In fact, Swabhiman is back on air now on Tata Sky. And it's amazing the kind of responses I'm getting after 25 years for a show like that. And honestly, Indrani, that time I didn't realize how big it was. I knew we'd done something spectacular, and it was the first daily soap of India. And I knew that Rishabh Malhotra had become some kind of iconic character, but I had no clue it was so big. And I didn't know that the memory has lasted for 25 long years. So again, I can't take any credit for that, because I had no idea what I was doing in Swabhiman, honestly.
But then again, just because you just told me that it's back on air, obviously when you did Swabhiman 25 years back and you were a newcomer, that emotion, and now that you watch Swabhiman, you see yourself on the screen. What's the difference in those two emotions that you feel right now?
So quite honestly, I was, as an actor, I was not very good in Swabhiman. I had a certain amount of charm which people saw, which I didn't. The only change that has come about is that my wife, when she watched it, now she used to hate me in Swabhiman. She thought I was the most dud actor which had ever walked into the industry, because she's from theatre and she's a very accomplished actor. She's a very nuanced actor.
Yes.
You can give her 5 different roles in 5 different short films and she'll be different in each film. While I was very busy playing Rohit Roy. Obviously I had no training, so I was the same in every character I used to do. And she used to say, no, you don't know how to act. And now when she sees it, now she sees the charm. Now she sees what people in those days might have liked. So, which is a great thing for me, because validation from her means the world to me. And my mother is watching it all over again after 25 years. She's extremely excited to watch it. I just find myself extremely awkward. Obviously that time was very different. The way we used to act was very, very different. And since I had no training, I just thought I was... So the thing that people liked, the rawness, today obviously I find a little awkward, because today I can't afford to be raw, right? So, but it's great fun. I'll tell you a very interesting story while we are on Swabhiman. So the girls who were 7 and 8 and 9 and 10 at that time, they used to kind of bunk their school and tuition and sit with their mothers and watch Swabhiman at 3:30, all right? And now I have people saying that my mother used to bunk their school and watch Swabhiman. Now we are watching with our mothers. So they're obviously now about 40, 45. They have kids of their own and they're also watching. So it gives me great pleasure just to be part of a show like that.
Of course, after that, films happened. You did some more serials, and then films happened. And then I think I read yesterday your Twitter handle says that films, they run in your vein. So my question to you is, what would have happened if it had not been for films and you didn't go to the USA?
Well, I would have opened a wine shop in Cleveland. That's all I could have done, because I was over studying anymore. I don't think I could have gone back to education or academics, because I think, there's a time and space, and I had kind of gone over that. But like I said, even till date now, I've been in the industry for 25 years. I don't have a mentor or a godfather. I have had nobody helping me get where I have. It's been only my either my work or my good fortune. So I would have actually depended on what fate would have decided for me next. I seriously don't believe in planning. I cannot be manipulative about what I'm doing. It's a good thing in our industry. You should be able to do it. But since I've not been ever able to do it, I don't think I would have even done it then. I would have waited for fate to open the next door had Swabhiman not worked. And I never thought that Swabhiman is going to work in such a big way. None of us actually. It was more an experiment. It was the first daily soap of India. So people didn't know that would audiences in India watch television in the afternoon where people are working or either sleeping. And it just created history. So yeah, see now, could we have planned that? No. Had it not worked, I'm sure that, fate would have decided what my next step would have been. So again, I wouldn't have planned anything really. I can only talk from experience. Like when I go, deliver lectures or talks, I first apologize to the teachers and the seniors and say that, listen, what I'm going to say might not really make sense or agree with what you're saying, because I never had a plan B. I only believe in plan A, because if I have a plan B, my plan A becomes a little weak. I know that I have something to fall back upon. Maybe I won't give my 100% to plan A, which is why I never had plan B. Even today, I don't. You said I didn't face a struggle getting in. You're right. But I face an uphill task even today to maintain my position and to even get a notch higher. With every year, an actor wants to go higher, right? So that struggle is still on. To procure good roles in cinema or television or OTT or theatre, that process is still on. And jaddo-jahad bolte hain. That struggle is very, very real. 25 years has given me seniority and respect, but the struggle is still very much there, and probably a little more than it was 25 years back.
Yeah, and the times and somehow the conditions that we are in now, it doesn't work for anyone really. So that's a different story altogether. Of course, I am also aware from some of your interviews that even though I did say, you didn't have too much of a struggle coming in, not everything in your life was all glitz and glamour, right? So you had your ups and downs. Of course, losing your father was, one of the big things in your life. And I heard your mother, and before I even go on, she's one of the most beautiful ladies I have seen. And she honestly, God, she's so beautiful, and it's obvious where you or both of you get your, the
me. Rohit looks like dad. I look like my mother.
Okay, so we need to get Rohit on later on to see what he has to say about that. But yeah. But I think, she said in one place that when your father passed away, you used to play Anup Jalota's songs on the loop. And, you used to listen to it. She never understood what that did for you. So it's probably, taking you away from that, from the glitz and glamour. But that was the reality. That's the reality we all face. How did you, Rohit Roy, the man who is the hero in so many and encompasses everything, how did you deal with that?
Well, quite honestly, it was the worst phase of my life. I was very, very close to my father. In fact, I was closer to my dad than I was to my mom at that point. Suddenly, when unexpectedly at a very young age of 14 or 15, I was hardly 15 at that time, your hero passes away without even, I wasn't even there. Me and my mother were in Ahmedabad, and he was in Bombay for some work, and he passed away, had a major cardiac arrest. And when something like that happens, it's like somebody has pulled the carpet from under your feet, or it's like, the earth has split and you're sinking in and you don't know what's going to happen. It's so if this pandemic is something to, make a simile with, I had no clue where I was going. My first thought was, okay, now what is going to happen to my education? Where are we going to eat? Which house will we live in? Because in those days, now of course things have changed. In those days, everything was your father. The caregiver was the mother, the procurer and the provider was the father. You know how it was back in the 80s and 70s. It was very clearly defined roles. And my mother was a housewife who never, the only time she went to office was for the puja. And she had no clue of the business at all. And everybody fleeced us, actually, you know. My father, of course, you know about Bengalis. Bengalis are not very good business people.
Oh,
We are creative, we can read, write, sing, Robindra Sangeet, blah, blah, blah. But comes to business and money, so my father was very trusting. He trusted his, his manager. The manager took all the clients and pur. And overnight we were left with obviously with the loss of a parent, and then we had nothing to fall back upon. And but my mother is responsible for where me and Ronit have gotten. Single-handedly raised two boys. My brother was a really naughty one. I was a little studious, but having said that, it must have
you
been
were very
difficult.
naughty as well. I'm coming to that.
I was not dangerously naughty. I was just naughty.
You
Yeah, but
actually
you know,
hit him with an almost a scissor or something. You hit him. The
oh
poor
yeah, how do
guy's
you know that?
it's
Wait,
see,
who told you that? Gosh,
see,
that's not
I do
something.
my homework.
No,
You
so yeah, that's what happened after my father's death. My mother took up the cudgels, and I'm very very
yeah.
proud. And imagine from not having stepped out beyond the boundaries of your house to actually
Yeah.
taking care of the house. Two young kids, 15 and 17, and making sure that she put food on the table. And I'm telling you as it is. I'm not exaggerating anything at all. I've never spoken about this. Today is a very special day, so it gives me this opportunity to speak about what she's done. Uh, so, and I never felt that our childhood was any different, other than the fact that I lost my dad. Nothing really changed for us because of my mother. The way she shielded us, the way she provided, she overnight became the provider.
Yeah, so what I was asking you also was, you turn towards song, and in Sangeet Foundation, we do reiterate again and again that how important mental health is, and how arts, the arts, help with decreasing at least some part of the trauma, the stress
Right.
that people are
Yes.
going through. So, what is your take on that, Rohit?
So very clearly, I don't know how you got to know about this, but in those days. Obviously, we had very limited music we had, and whatever mom used to listen to or dad used to listen to, we used to get hooked on. When my father passed, there was a song from Anup Jalota which was playing. That put some bhajans, and I remember the song even today. Thumaka chalat penjaniya, and I can hum it also. And I kept listening to that. And for me, music always has been very cathartic. So maybe it started from that time. I love music. I used to love listening to songs on the radio. Those days we only had radio, and
Of course.
when I heard there's something about Anupji's voice which is extremely soothing, and the music was so nice, and it kind of I was sitting in a daze. I think for the next 2 days after we saw Dad, we were all in a daze. I can only imagine what my mom must have gone through because we were like, how do you even react? Music is what helped me at that time, and I remember we used to play that. We had that one cassette and it kept playing on loop all day long, along with the diya. That loop was going on and on, and I think it helped me a lot in getting by those first initial days because the initial shock. If I told you like. I have no memory today of how, what happened. So I think that the balm was really music at that time. And so, yeah, I should thank Anup Jalota also.
Oh yeah, he is very integral to us as well, and he's been on our shows,
I
and he
know.
does support us. And
I
brilliant
love
human
Anupji.
being.
Anupji, and in fact, just before the lockdown, we were at a friend's dinner and Anupji was singing there. And he's just fantastic. Just to look at him, it looks like there's a halo around him when he sings.
Just 2, 3 days back, I had sent him a message. And the best part with him, being the kind of man he is, the celebrity he is, you send him a message, he will reply to you for something. I think,
Absolutely.
and he is so
His
there
family.
for the people, for his students, for everybody. He's just there. So bless
Yeah.
him. So yeah, definitely. I mean, his songs have been a soothing balm to many people across.
Absolutely.
Is it right for me to kind of fathom or understand that it helps you when you go into the studio, when you go into the film studio that you are, you have a character to play. Is it like an escape route does it help you to come out of the real world that probably, you had maybe a confusion at the house, some fight? We all go through those things. Does it take you out of a real world and push you into a world, a make-believe world that's beautiful of its own, but and it lasts as long as it lasts, it just is another world for you to be in?
I wish, such a beautifully framed question. I wish I could say more, but my answer is no.
No? Okay.
Not at all. For me, acting is the real thing. That's what my life is. Everything for me is acting. If I'm
Okay.
happy, I want to be in front of camera. If I'm sad, I want to be in front of camera. If I'm angry, I want to be in front of camera. Anything that happens in my life, there's a different way of venting, and my way of venting is being in front of camera. The reason why I today would take a compliment of being a good actor is because today I believe that I'm a fairly decent actor. Had you told me this 10 years back, I would have said, no, please don't be kind to me. And I genuinely mean that. There's no humility here. I'm just being very straightforward and frank. After my daughter was born, I kind of realized that I don't want to leave a legacy or whatever I leave behind. I don't want her to feel that her father was not up to the mark in the job that he did. Any job. Whether I was selling wines in a Cleveland store, I would have done it very well. So I wanted to leave behind something where she would be proud. My child would be proud of the work I did. And that's when I started taking it seriously. And I feel acting for me is something that's my life, really. So I can be very happy here, but I can go and do a gangster film and I behave like a gangster or behave like Fattu. For me, it's not an escape at all. I've heard so many times, a lot of great actors have said, we like to escape. But they have it's mental. It all depends on your mental makeup. I don't want to escape. I'm not an escapist. I'm if you know about a little bit about sun signs, I'm an Aries. Aries is a child sign.
Okay.
I'm happy wherever you are. I don't care. Even like right now is probably the biggest struggle because we don't know what's going to happen, right? None of us. We're all going through a lot of stress and turmoil with the insecurity of tomorrow, the indecision of how it's going to pan out. But for me, the only thing I know is acting. People are starting to open other businesses. There's somebody's baking from home, somebody's doing clothes, somebody's doing jewelry. Well, I can only wait because I will wait. And when the things open up, I'll go back in front of camera because that's the only thing I know. And for me, that can never be an escape. That is my reality.
That's beautifully put, Rohit. I mean, that is, as you said, many people do say that it's an escape. So it makes us lay people who've not been in front of, that wonder. So is that like another world that you are able to go into and kind of?
Yeah, of course, we do create another world. Like my film Mumbai Saga just released this month on Amazon Prime Video. And I play a gangster from the 80s. So my look is different. My speech is different. I've built up a body because I had to match John Abraham. And I look completely different. So yes, I do create a world for my character. And for those 8 to 10 hours in a day, I'm playing that character. But again, I'll repeat myself. There's some bit of me still there in that character. I try to put in me there, which is why probably all my roles of late have been more realistic and less acting,
I said I was just going to say that there's a real you. There's a part of Rohit in every character is there.
Yes, it is. There is always a part of Rohit in each and every character. I keep it subtle so that you can't see it, but that's the only way I can feel it. I mean, if I'm doing a scene where I require to bring some emotion of my own life into the scene, I'll have to delve into Rohit's psyche. That can only happen if that's a little bit of Rohit in me. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, that's the way I function.
No, absolutely. That's absolutely. I mean, it's true that, when I look at it from the perspective that you are giving me now, yeah, it makes more sense. It makes the character probably a little bit more logical and more sensible to the viewers. And
what happens is that mostly when actors are becoming actors, we read a lot of books written by great actors, luminaries in their field, and we tend to parrot the thought that they have said. I say, Anthony Hopkins has said this, so it has to be right. Sir Laurence Olivier has said this, has to be right. Marlon Brando has said this is what he did. No, that's their process. They became great actors following their process. I follow my own process. Not necessarily right or wrong for the next generation, but it works for me. And so, yeah, I followed my process. It's worked for me. Yeah.
Brilliant. You were just talking about, Kiara, your daughter, and you said that you
Yeah.
would want to do a legacy for her that she is proud of. That when she looks
Right.
at the television, she looks at something and she knows, yeah, that's my dad, and I'm so proud. But
Right.
there's a lot for you to be proud of, about with her as well, because from what
Absolutely.
I read, when she was just a 12-year-old, she actually started a free library in Mumbai for
Yes.
children to across to read. Now, I am a teacher myself, and I
Wow.
have, yeah. So reading, we all are, everything is accessible online. Yes, you can download books and all of that. But reading is something that I think should be there in every family. It should become a part of the
Absolutely.
children, growing up. How did Kiara come into that, and what was your role in it? If, I'm assuming you both had a
So,
big role to play in it.
so I think she gets her love for reading from a little bit from both, but mainly from Mansi, because Mansi is a voracious reader. As a
Hmm.
child, she would devour books, and she still does. Me, not so much anymore, but as a child, I used to also love reading books. That was for me. Now you talk about escaping. Now that takes me back to school. That used to be my escape. Reading books used to be my escape. You know, and that, of course, we had a fantastic library. Anyway, coming to Kiara, we were in America, in fact, in Cleveland on one of the trips, and she read an article in the Oprah Winfrey magazine where a gentleman from Texas had opened a little free library just outside his house. His mother was also a teacher, and his thought was that he wanted to share the books, and the whole concept was to give books free. You want to take it, take
Yeah.
it. Borrow a book, give a book. You don't have to come back and return the book. It's not like a conventional library in that
Yeah.
way. So you also have to have so much of stock of books. When she mooted this idea, my first reaction, in fact, was to tell her firstly that Kiara, it is India. Come on, let's face reality. You keep a bookstore open, they'll pilfer the books in one night. That'll be the end of the
Absolutely.
library. But she was but the thought behind her at such a tender age, I think 11 or 12 she was, of sharing. That's why me and Mansi decided, no, we got to make it happen anyhow. So we actually got in touch with our local minister. We called him over. We did a grand inauguration for that. So everybody knew that there's a little free library here. And it spread like wildfire. I can't even tell you the kind of people, and also not only the kids from the not so privileged backgrounds. People actually come from neighboring buildings when they see some good books. They'll also stand there. Some people will sit there and read. So it gives me great satisfaction that Kiara ended up doing that, and we supported her because there's nothing like sharing knowledge. In fact, again, going back to Swabhiman and Mahesh Bhatt, I used to go to Bhatt Saab's office and look, say, Bhatt Saab, can I borrow that book? He said, no, don't borrow that book. Take it. I have read it. What is it going to do lying on my shelf?
Wow.
It's just a showpiece. Take it, read. After you finish, pass it on. So somewhere, I saw that in Kiara's desire to share her books. And then, of course, once people came to know, everybody from around our area, from different cities in India, they started sending us books by the truckload, because
Oh,
everybody
wow.
has books, right? Once you've read a book or a magazine or a novel, what are you going to do with it? You'll keep a few of your favorites, but the rest you want other people. So they've actually started sending it to us, and our touch wood, it's been 5, 6 years now. Her little free library's never been empty.
Oh, bless her. I mean,
Yep.
the very fact, what I wanted you to really bring out, which you did so beautifully, is the people who are listening to this and the children, the youngsters, that you don't need money, you don't need, a lot. You can do things with, things around you, and that can make you happy, that can make you, feel, even when this, especially in this pandemic situation, when everybody's going through, you're losing close ones every day.
Every day.
These are the small things that can make such a lot of difference, and I was so touched by that. Very few times you come across such young children trying to make a difference,
Yes.
and it was important for me to talk about her, is
Yes.
that it should motivate the others. It should come across that if she's, even if I just take her, that not necessarily because she's Rohit Roy's daughter, but the fact that
Yeah,
she
not at
had
all.
that. Yeah, so anyone should be able to do that, because
Anyone
we
can
all have
actually do
books.
it. You don't need to be anybody's son or daughter. If you have the thought, the
Correct.
universe will make sure that your little free library is never empty.
Beautiful, absolutely. So kudos to this girl, and I hope that she goes, it moves ahead in leaps and bounds, and absolutely
But
the
she
both of
has, if
you.
I can, if I can add to that,
Yeah.
the only silver lining in 2020 for us was that she was accepted by Brown University, and she is going to Brown this fall, and she'll be studying there now for the
Wow.
next 4 years. Yes, so that was. Again, I shouldn't
Ah.
be posting. Okay. Let's
No,
move
no,
forward.
no, no, no. That is, we all should be
See, that's
proud
what
of
I.
that. Brilliant,
We're
brilliant. I
absolutely
mean,
proud. Yes.
absolutely. As a parent, that's not a boast. That's something that you should talk about. And
Yes.
kudos to her and all the best to her.
Thank
We
you.
certainly
Thank
hope
you.
we see her more of her around and doing things that makes a difference in society.
Thank you
Definitely.
so much.
The other thing I also was something really interesting about you, Rohit, was your TED talks. I heard some of them, and there was one which you called "Breaking the Box." I know what it means, but I want you to talk about it to the viewers. What did you want to convey by that?
I love doing these talks all over. Because it helps me connect with the newer, younger generation and actually share ideas. More than giving a talk, I actually go to these places and to these talks and speaks to get what they are thinking. That's what keeps me going. This is an excuse to give a TED Talks, but after the TED Talks, when I talk to them, the ideas, the excitement, the enthusiasm, that's very infectious, and I come back with that. So I'm very selfish when I do these talks. Anyway, Break the Box was a very interesting format, and again, it was at a B school in Ahmedabad, one of the best in Ahmedabad. And why I decided to go there is because I think the concept is exactly what I was telling you a few moments back about how the greats would say a few things, and we'd just parrot it. Most actors
Yeah.
would, pick something from something a greater actor has said, and I can mouth it in a interview. Break the boxes to unconventional thinking. Try and think about something that has not been done or not been spoken about. Why India is so good at research is because we have thinkers. You know, we're great. We have great thinkers. We have great research scientists. India has been at the forefront. Now, of late, we are not really doing so much because obviously there's a brain drain. Because we don't know how to take care of our talent. Anyway, that's a conversation for another day. So, Break the Box was actually to nurture these out of box thinkers that
Yeah.
break the shackles. Like I was giving my example. In fact, very interestingly, they call TED Talks has a 19 or a 20-minute thing. You have to finish your talk in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
My talk went on for 27 minutes, and finally somebody said, "Okay, now we can stop it," and they were not stopping. When we talk about breaking the box, it's very important. I mentioned earlier that you have to identify the box. What are you trying to break? It's good, it sounds good, let's break the box. But what is a box? A box is something which is going to confine you and your abilities and your talents, and it's going to limit you and the way you think. That's our box, or that should be regarded as your box. So Break the Box was a unique concept, and it was, it was what they had planned and decided. How can you move forward, not conforming to what has been taught to you? Again, there I was very apologetic to the principal who was there of the college, to the teachers, and said, I spoke about plan A and plan B of why I don't have a fallback, why I don't have a plan B. All our lives, our parents have said, अच्छा ये कर लेना, लेकिन पहले पढ़ाई पूरी कर लो. अच्छा वो देख लेना, पहले पढ़ाई पूरी कर लो. पहले ये कर लो, पहले वो कर लो. Why? I said, find out what you like to do. Like you asked me about my escaping to go into an acting space and create my world. No. So for me, that is the reality. So why escape from anything? Why have a plan B? And I said, I've never had a plan B because I want to give my 100% to a plan A. I'll keep working at it till I succeed. And that's the only way forward. And they said, no, this is, how can this, everybody has to have a plan B. I said, you don't have to have a plan B. And eventually I went to have coffee with the principal and she was very impressed. She said, we've never had somebody like you who has come and actually debunked our stories. I said, I'm really sorry, but the reason I agreed to do this was break the box. At this point, I must say, my mother has never told us what to do.
Yeah.
She never told us, you must do this or you must do that. She was a little upset when I couldn't complete my MBA. But she never told me don't become an actor. My brother had already seen a little bit of struggle. She should have been she could have, she's let us fly. So let your kids fly. They will find out what they like to do. When you enjoy what you do so much, it's not escaping. Then it's actually going to your reality.
True. Coming, your brother, of course, he had to face the struggles, and your mother never stopped you in spite of your brother seeing the struggles. I mean, that is I think a message that we all need to learn. We all need to understand that our children have an identity of their own, and they have to be allowed to do that. It is
Absolutely.
difficult, I think, especially in this Bangali Badiya mother, we have that thing a little bit more save it for them kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
No, that's also important. I never, just disregard whatever my parents would have told me or my mother tells me. I do listen to it. In fact, I feel that we listen to them a lot more than our kids listen to us. Our kids are so much more smarter than we ever were. I mean, Kiara has never needed our help in her education. She's a first-class student through her career of 12 years in school. I don't think I helped her at all other than the first few years. So, as a parent, I feel our only job is to be a facilitator and a roadmap. But don't try and impress your thoughts on your children. That doesn't work because they know a lot more than you about today's world.
Yeah, of course. I absolutely agree, that we should allow our children to grow. So let's just do a bit of a fun thing, Rohit. I have a
Too many
few
serious
questions
things.
for you.
Let's do a fun thing. Come on, I'm
A
ready.
bit of fun, yeah, a bit of fun thing. So I'm going to ask you 5 questions, and it will be like a rapid fire. But
Do
let's
I
see
get
how
a
we go.
hamper at the end of it? Only then I'll play.
I will. The moment I'm allowed to get up on the flight, the hamper will reach you.
No,
I'll bring it
don't
up.
worry. I keep coming to London very often. In fact, I was in London during your second lockdown. In
Oh my,
September, October, I was shooting there in a bio bubble.
oh
Yeah.
Lord.
I was
Where
shooting
were
for
you?
I was shooting for an Indo-Brit filmers. I don't remember which hotel I was staying in, but central London.
There. Okay, quick. What makes Rohit Roy happy?
A smile on my daughter's face.
Is Rohit Roy living or merely existing?
Oh, he's living.
Brilliant. What is that role you always wanted but never got?
Actually, the one role that I really, really wanted to do, or want to do rather, is what James Dean did in a film called Rebel Without a Cause.
Okay.
I would give anything for that role.
Okay, so that's still there. It can
Oh,
still
yeah,
happen.
yeah. I never say never.
Good. What does it mean to Rohit Roy to heal emotionally?
Heal emotionally. What does it mean to heal emotionally? I think only time and space can heal someone. I don't really, the thing is, I have been hurt. The only way you can heal is by yourself. Nobody can really heal you till you're not ready. And I think the easiest and the best way of healing yourself or healing somebody else is let them heal on their own. You heal on your own. Of course, you can be empathetic and supportive, but unless you smile from inside, you'll never heal. I always smile. I've gone through ups and downs and more downs, may I add, in my career, and I have never stopped smiling.
And that's what keeps you going. Brilliant.
Absolutely.
So, do you believe that medicine and any form of art, scientific, like as in medicine, and any form of art, can it work together?
Of course, why not? Why not? See, medication is medication. They're all proven sciences. But art is cathartic. I think whether you're an artist or you're an actor or a musician, like in the lockdown, I took up, I used to love art in my school and college. And my daughter got me a box of art supplies and I started painting my shoes. And that gets me in so much happiness and joy to just sit there, pick out my old shoes and start painting on them. Like that becomes my canvas. So it's very cathartic. I feel happy. And once I see the finished shoe, I feel joy, In fact, Osho Rajneesh had said in his book, I think The Mustard Seed, it was, that whatever you do it with great joy. I don't know your connection, the medicine and art connect that you're trying to make.
So you are
For
the
me, art
fact.
is
It
my
is the
medicine.
cathartic thing. It is exactly because at Sangeet Foundation we've always been, because when we work with doctors, we work with NHS over here. The idea is that medicine, obviously, you can pop in a tablet, but emotionally and if you mentally, if you're not in the right space, if you don't tell yourself I want to get better and do the
Right.
things that
Never.
make you better, no medicine
There's
is going to
something
work.
I'd like to say through a very recent personal experiences that a lot of people shirk from taking medication for their mental or
Yes.
anxiety issues. Please don't do that. Do take medication because it's another illness, and I think it's tougher to handle mental illnesses than physical ones. You break a bone, put it in a cast, there in 6 months you're good to go. Mental illnesses, people, I don't know how it is there, but in India people are still shy of seeing psychiatrists or talking to people or taking medication because they feel that there's a yaar hum pagal thodi hai. And it's so sad. This conversation has started from last year following a very uh, popular actor's suicide, and it was very unfortunate what happened to him, but it had opened a conversation, but then it got hijacked and it became some controversy about his
Something else
death and this and
completely.
that.
Yeah.
And the entire conversation got lost. But yes, I hope that this conversation starts opening up in India. A friend of mine went through it, is going through it, and you just don't know what happens. It's not in control. So medication is important. Art will definitely help. Find something that makes you smile, whether it's painting or singing. I sing songs. I'm sitting alone in my room singing song. Anything that makes you happy, any form of art, it works.
That is exactly what we at this organization, we try to do, and all the celebrities we bring. Obviously, when a Rohit Roy tells it,
Right.
it makes a lot of difference. That mental health, being healthy mentally, is also equally important, and especially in the
Of
South
course.
Asian diaspora, and with the
It's
Indian
not equally.
mental
It's not
thinking.
equally important. It's more important, I'd say.
Yeah. And when especially in this South Asian diaspora, so you were talking about India, it's the same over here. People don't want to go. Ami to pagol na. That is the
That's the
typical thing.
thing. That
It's
is the
not
sad
mad.
part. Very sad.
And that is why it's important, that we keep talking about it, keep harping about it, and we have been able to help a few
Hmm.
people. But even one life change is definitely that one important thing. So yes,
All the
but
best
thank
for
you so
that.
much. Yeah, absolutely, we need it. Uh, the last on this rapid fire was Rohit Roy needs the world around him to be perfect all day, every day, or Rohit Roy is happy in an imperfect world working towards perfection every day.
I am happy in an imperfect world, not working towards perfection because there is nothing like perfection in this world. You can never be
Oh wow,
perfect. I am a flawed human being, so are you, so is everybody else around you, and that's what
absolutely.
makes us interesting. Anybody seeking perfection is seeking a ghost. You're chasing a ghost. There's nothing like perfection. Perfection will be the death of you. What do you do after you become perfect? How many times can you repeat perfection? So for me, I live in an imperfect world. I'm extremely happy being imperfect myself. I have great empathy for people who are imperfect because so am I. And I think there's nothing like perfection in this world. Yes, you can strive to get better than you were yesterday, but that's about it. The day you decide to get perfect, then you'll have to go to the Himalayas and
There's nothing more to do after that. Beautiful, brilliantly. So of course, I mean, we are coming literally towards the end of the show. But before I go off, there are two things I want to ask you. One is with Ronit, we forgot that conversation, is how did you manage not to hurt him when this poor guy was almost going to get hurt?
why do you want to
You
end
hit
my
him
episode with this? No, it was very stupid. I see. So me and my brother, like all two brothers, we love each other to death, but we were used to fight like dogs when we were younger. I mean, he used to really jump me around, and I was a weaker one. Like I played in Fattu and shootout and Lokhandwala. I was always a Fattu, and he was this big brawny boy always. And once, I used to love studying, right? I mean, he has to understand. He had nothing to do with education. He hated school and college. So I used to sit on the table and keep studying, and he'd make all the noise and this and that, and I used to get really irritated. And I used to say, "Please calm down. I'm studying." So yeah, pura din padhta rehta hai. And something happened, and he irritated me so much. He walked out of the door. I picked up a 7-lever lock and I threw at him. And thank God, it just passed him like this. Had it hit him here, I
Oh,
swear, gosh, it gives me goosebumps to even think. What was I thinking? And it was a big lock, seven lever lock. My gosh,
so the
thank God my
quiet,
aim has been
studious,
bad.
the quiet, studious boy could actually
Yeah.
become something
Yeah,
terrible when.
you don't irritate a studious boy when he's studying.
I'm not going down that road with you, Rohit. I don't want to be anywhere
Yeah.
near you if that ever happens. No, but beautiful. But these are the memories you carry on, really. Of course, that touch wood, nothing. But this is a beautiful memory, and it happens in every house. It's just
Yeah,
something that
yeah.
was funny and interesting. Absolutely. Uh, my last question before we end, just to finish on a serious note, because we're not going to end on that note. The serious note is that, you had spoken about the idea of jade, the JADE, in your Break the Box.
J stands for jealousy. I don't have that emotion in my body. I find that is one of the most negative emotions. There are lots of other emotions which are negative. The moment you start feeling jealous, it takes so much away from you. A stands for animosity. Most of the problems in the world, starting from your house, to your locality, to your city, to your state, to your countries, starts with animosity. That's another word I keep away from myself. The third letter, it stands for something that, in fact, being an actor, I should not be talking about. It's duplicity. I don't have one duplicitous bone in my body. I feel it's exhausting. E. If we can get that E, it's called empathy. The one thing I feel terribly missing, and it's probably because of our pace of life and the work pressures and the frustration, empathy has clearly leaked out of our social fabric.
So jade is something I had coined actually on the spot. Let me see if I remember. Jealousy, animosity, E is empathy, and D was what was D? Duplicity. So for me,
Duplicity.
these are things that don't. Some of them don't exist in my dictionary. Like I don't like to be jealous. I'm not jealous of anybody. What you have, na. That will not make me. That should not make me happy or sad. That doesn't matter to me. You are happy. I look at your happiness. I'm happy for you. Because you have a Maserati, that shouldn't make me jealous, and it doesn't. Animosity is something that really is seeping into the fabric of our society, especially with these religious divides and geographical divides. It's seeping in, and everybody's so antsy nowadays. Even so, I'd given an example in my TED talk that when you're on the road and somebody abuses you, hey, what are you doing, or something like that. 99% of the time, you roll down a window and you abuse him back.
Correct.
Try this. Don't roll your window back. Just look at him and smile and say, that guy will feel so shameful. He'll actually come and apologize to you. It takes one split second to douse the fire. Why do you want to ignite the fire further? So animosity doesn't find place in my book. Duplicity is something that actually actors are most known for. Maybe I'm not, a superstar because I don't have duplicity in me. What you see is what you get. Whatever I've told you today, you ask me 10 years later, I'll tell you exactly the same thing because I don't have to think. I'm telling you what I am really at. So duplicity doesn't work for me. If I want to say something to you, I'll say to you in your face that Indrani, this is what I don't like about you, or this is what I like about you. If the basis of my relationship with you is what I tell you honestly, then I'd rather not have you in my friend circle.
True.
So duplicity is not there. And because these three things are not there, the one very important thing that we all should have is empathy towards each other. Why do we need a pandemic to come for us to feel empathetic? Why do we need a Mother's Day to come so that we can show love to our mothers? What about the other 364 days? Be empathetic to people around you, yaar. Everybody is going through something. Just because I'm smiling, that doesn't mean I'm not going through my own hell or my own struggle. So be empathetic. And if everybody does decide to be like that, the world's going to be a much better place. I know this sounds bookish and philosophical, but it's true. So a lot of people ask me, I remember after this we had a GD, and in that group discussion they asked me, sir, but what 1% or what change can you make? I said, that's shocking. You start with the man in the mirror. There's a famous saying, you start with the man in the mirror, and if you make that, it is a domino effect. I'll be kind to you, you will definitely be going kind to somebody else, and that kindness will percolate through the line. And I strongly believe in this. You know, it's not something I said in the TED Talk to sound good or to make
Yeah.
some sort of other thing. I really believe that if you're empathetic with each other, kind with each other, I always keep telling my wife who finds faults with me all day, every day, that
Everyone
listen,
does that. So in every
I know all
family,
wives do.
don't
So
pull
I tell
her
her that
out.
it's, yeah. So I always tell her one thing. It's not always, the thing is not always to be right. It's always to be kind. Be kind.
Yeah.
That's it. And I think we can end the interview on this note because I can't get better than this.
No.
Because
I
before
mean,
my wife hears me and comes here with a danda,
no, but all wives have the right to do that. So you
of
have to
course,
give
of course.
them, all the wives, the benefit of that doubt.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, and I've also been a pretty naughty boy, so she has all the rights to do that to me.
oh yeah, so sure.
Yeah, I
I'm
don't,
sure
like
if
I
you
said,
did
you must have come to know I don't conform. I don't conform to any laws and rules and regulations.
But I think that's what makes you stand apart as well, Rohit, and that's why you are so inspiring in your own way. So
Thank
obviously,
you.
I've done such a lot of I in just to get you to have you on this talk. I did such a lot of background study on you, and the one thing I definitely understood is you are one of those empathetic people, and it's such a blessing to have people like you around, and who can
Thank you. Thank you.
show the way to people and who people look up to, and definitely, I hope all the best on behalf of Sangeet Foundation.
Thank you
Believe
so
that
much.
you have so much to give to the world still. And of course, to Mansi and Kiara as well, and to the whole family, on behalf of Sangeet Foundation and everyone here in the UK who have locked in, I will, definitely they are going to enjoy every bit of this
Thank you
conversation.
so much.
And thank you so much for being there with us today.
It was a
It
pleasure,
was
Indrani.
so humbling. It was so
I
humbling.
really had a good time talking to you, and I'd like to say something before I go. I'm so glad that you did your research. You knew the man behind the name, and that makes for such good conversation because you're asking me pertinent questions, not some questions about my story and how I came and this and that's been done to death. Everybody knows that. You can go online and find out my story. But it was a great pleasure talking to you, and hopefully I shall see you guys when I'm in UK next.
Absolutely. Please let us know when you are over
Absolutely.
here, and I will obviously stay in touch. Now you don't get away from me. That's the sad
Not at
part of
all.
the whole story, is
Absolutely.
that we will certainly stay in touch. And thank you so much.
ধন্যবাদ.
ধন্যবাদ একটা বাংলা
You
বেরিয়েছে at
wanted me to
last.
say Bengali, na? We didn't speak in Bengali, so ধন্যবাদ.